Okay, everybody, welcome back to the O&D Life. Today, I've got an interview with Brad Rad, who just experienced a rollover and posted it online for others to learn from. I saw it and thought it'd be great to get him on for an interview. So, Brad, thank you for joining us. How you doing today? First off, I'm glad to see that you're okay and safe.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm fine. I was a little sore the next day because I sprung off pretty quick, and I don't usually run. So
I was gonna say, and I saw some of the comments. You were. That must be a pretty good sized hill, also.
it's about 10 acres, my plot, and most of it goes down at like a 9% grade.
Okay, and it I was gonna say, because you were running down that hill, and it took you a little bit. I figured it's because you're running downhill.
A big tree, yeah. It took me to shut it down there. I was happy I got off in time, and then I've had a quad rollover before, and I remember getting clobbered by it. So I was like, the quad was enough. I didn't want it to happen with the tractor, so I wanted to get clear, kind of the Indiana Jones in the Temple of Doom kind of thing. I didn't want to get rolled over. So once I heard it stop banging around, I looked back and I was like, all right, that's enough. And then I saw the smoke and I was like, oh, it's going to blow up.
Well, I'm going to play it for everyone so they can see it. And then we'll go ahead and talk about it a little bit.
Sure. This is my security cameras.
Okay. And so it caught it all.
Oh, yeah. I trimmed this down a lot. It showed me driving over to the area, negotiating. We just had a party. You can see the grass is dead in a line. It was a slip and slide. They're just clearing the land pretty much to get it back to normal.
Okay. Well, let me hit play. Oh, man. And there you go. And like you said, you started to walk back, then you saw it smoking and thought, oh, crap.
Yep.
Oh, man. Well,
yeah, it's pretty steep, so you can see the deck off to the left. That deck is flat.
Wow.
It's level there, so you can see the grade kind of runs off pretty quickly.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so as you said in your post, and I'm going to scroll up here so people can kind of see that, you wanted to put this up for other people to learn from. And I got to commend you for that because the internet is a cruel place.
Brutal.
It is brutal. And I haven't read all the comments, but I'm sure there's been a few.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
I have a couple, but usually it's the same thing over and over again. Nobody reads the other comments.
Right. And like you said in your post, you had it in two-wheel drive. You don't know why?
Which I never do. I think because we were having guests over and I had to use the tractor a couple days. I think my front yard is very small. It's right up against the road, so or the access. So I think I put it two-wheel drive just so that I could mow in tighter spaces without it digging into the front yard. And I think because I had been off of it for a couple days, I didn't even think to check because my land is brutal, so I can't mow at all without it being a four-wheel drive. So
you're used to always being in four-wheel drive, even mowing and everything.
If it's wet at all on that hill, I mean, it did it to me one time when I was mowing downhill. I was like, man, this is going pretty fast. Man, my foot's not on the gas. Why isn't it slowing down? And I was able to drive it into a couple of the taller weeds that I have in my backyard and slow it down enough to engage the 4x4 and never do that again.
You learn. And I've done the same thing. Basically.
I saw your video after you talked to me. I went and watched your video.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Tell me, do you normally mow with your loader on?
No, I don't. Yeah, just because it's brutal, it bounces around. And like I said, it's almost 10 acres. So mowing with that bucket, man, it beats your kidneys up pretty bad. So.
Well, and so you've had that runaway tractor syndrome, even with the loader off. I was kind of curious if the tractors would do that even with the loader off. So it sounds like potential.
You really got to be messing up to dump it. in this situation, you can even see, if you look at the picture you have up now in the upper left-hand corner, you can see how I approached it. And that's where that planting little thing used to be. It came with our house, and we don't plant things. We do trees and bushes, but never flowers and stuff. So I said, you know what? I always put my generator right there. In the wintertime, I'm getting ready to build a shed for the generator so it can just stay outside. I was like, let me get this crap out of there. I'll recycle some of the wood, burn what I don't use. And I can move it by hand. I moved it away from the house and strapped it to the bucket. And then I was like, I don't want it to be up against the bucket because it was darn near hitting the front of the tractor. So I said, I'll just hang it a little bit higher. So my bucket, they were saying, it's like 3/4 of the way up.
Yeah. And so you were just backing up from right there. Where were you planning on taking it?
To the front yard, so that the gap to the right of where it was, there's a gap between the house and the shed.
Yeah.
Drive it up, put it there.
So you were just backing up enough to start going to that right, and as you backed up, that's when you lost traction.
It was, like I said, like everybody's like, why'd you go so fast? And I said, I put the tractor, I picked up the bucket to enough where I could see that furniture piece or whatever you want to call it, the planter stand, enough so that I could see it hang. And I was like, all right, that's high enough. I don't mind if it drags the grass a little bit here and there. And I was like, okay. I took my foot off of the brake and I disengaged the parking brake. And then as soon as I took my foot off the parking brake, that's when it took off.
It just started to roll. Gravity took over.
Yeah, it was really off idle too. So I mean, like, I barely had enough to move the bucket up and down. That's how slow the engine was revved. So I think that actually saved the engine too with the rollover. But the excuse me, as soon as that started happening, I looked down at my feet and I saw that I wasn't on the gas at all. So I put my foot back on the gas and tried to do something, and nothing happened. So I went over to the other side, put my foot on the brake, with my left foot, and nothing happened. So I said, this is the beginning of my property. And from this point down, it's probably almost, half a mile, 3/4 of a mile straight down. And there's nothing in the way. So I'm figuring right now I'm going like 2 or 3 miles. Yeah, you can see from that picture, it goes down to a road, and maybe like there's a electrical pole down there, but it's all gravel, and my sand mound is off to the right there of the picture. And I said, man, in my head I'm thinking, this is going to get real bad in a hurry. Let me see if I can just gradually turn it a little bit so that I can get the knock off some of the speed, and I can figure out what I'm going to do. It was gone by then.
And it happened so fast. Like you said, you're processing. Oh crap! I'm not slowing down. I got my foot off of the HST pedal. Oh crap! The parking brake, the brake's not working, and so you're just running through all that. Did you think about lowering it?
Well, it was already on the ground. If you look at the video, that thing was already dragging. So I mean, I had to crush it, and who knows if I would have put the bucket down on top of that thing and took the weight off the front wheels, who knows how that could have reacted to it too. So I mean, like, I didn't think of any of that when I was doing it. My basic thought was, it's not stopping. It's not stopping. Oh crap! How can I get off of it? How can I get away from it? And I mow this lawn, and it's so heavy of a mow that it almost bogs this tractor down. Yeah. So I usually have the rollover bar down, and I'm usually just putting along without the bucket on the front. And it takes me about 6 hours to mow my lawn. So I'm on it all day. And I was like, man, if I leave that up and try to park it in my shed, the bar hits my shed. Yeah. So it dents the siding. So I'm always conscious to have it down. And I put it up for the party because I was going to put like a sunshade on it or something so that I didn't get burned while I was mowing, because I just got back from mowing the yard, get sunburned. So yeah. I was like, I got to figure out something. I was trying to figure out what I could weld onto it. Now everybody's telling me don't weld on those, so I'm glad I didn't now. But I'm glad it's there. Like, I only have one pin in it too. So I mean, like, the other pin got lost somewhere in the field. So I mean, I went out and bought the pin yesterday and an oil change and some coolant so that I could, do its yearly maintenance anyway. And get everything squared away.
So, and you know, I mentioned lowering the bucket. I had that thought, hindsight, you know, after I had my incident. So, I mean, like you said, just things are happening so fast.
Yep.
So you do you think that the mid-mount mower helped at all? But I mean,
No.
obviously it didn't prevent it.
I think when that thing hit the ground, that's what made everything flip quicker, because it kind of like a pole vaulter. It gave it a pivot point to flip over quicker. Once I mean that here the tires dragging against the ground. And luckily, I didn't have anything break on the tractor at all. But that deck for sure. Once it dug into the ground, you can see in the picture it's there. Now you can see where it dug into the ground.
Yeah,
and you can see the wheel marks. So I mean, I might have rolled into the woods if that thing wouldn't have dug in. But and then who's to say it wouldn't have? That wood line there goes down about 4 feet and then up like 6. So who knows if I would have made it to that wood line, if it would have been in any better situation than what happened.
Yeah. Man, oh man, I've never seen a tractor roll with the mid-mount mower on. So I was under the assumption that would normally help.
Well, I mean, in my field, if I mow in a certain direction, it kind of bobbles and bangs that deck against the ground, like it'll burn the grass in an area because of I live about 15 minutes away from Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, where Punxsutawney Phil is for Groundhog's Day. So I have groundhogs in my field, a couple of them, and if I hit one of their holes moving, it'll bounce the tractor. So I mean, I've had a couple times where it bounced the tractor and banged the deck against the ground, and I was like, whoa, you know, then I'll mark the hole.
Wow.
Those things are as big as dogs.
Are your tires filled?
No, I don't have any weight on that tractor at all. It came with my property about 4 years ago.
Yeah.
I just used it as needed. I'm glad I had it. I think it might be a little too small for my land, but I think it'll be fine until I need to replace it.
What model do you have?
It's a 2370.
Okay.
I think it's a 15 or a 14. It's relatively new. The guy said he had ordered it special, and when I bought the house, I said I wanted the tractor, and he kind of fought me on it, but he ended up caving because he wanted to sell his house.
Yeah. Okay. And do you have any implements for the back?
Nothing. No. I've been looking to get something to mow more square foot at a time, and everybody told me, I think I have the 54-inch deck. Everybody was saying that's pretty much the horsepower limit of that tractor. Anything bigger, and you'll be for a finish mower, and it's going to be bogging it down.
Yeah. I say you just need a big zero turn.
I had a couple of landscape companies around that wanted to sell me one, and I want to buy one, but they won't make it up my property. It needs to be 4x4. If there's any moisture in the grass at all, it's such a heavy grade that it won't go up and down it.
Well, and I say zero turn, which they say they don't work very well on a hill. I have a zero turn and the hill and a pretty good hill, and you can only mow it in certain ways, certain conditions.
Yeah.
So
going downhill, those things are awesome.
Right. Just can't get them turned around. In fact, I'm thinking about doing a video this weekend showing why a zero turn on a hill, is a problem. So
yeah. I think let me borrow the new what brand was it? I can't remember now. But it had a steering wheel, not the 2 bars.
Okay, yeah.
It's dual drive. It's not split drive like the old ones. This will do better. And the guy showed me a couple laps around my yard, and then I went down and I called him back and said, "Hey, I'm going to pull this thing out of my field because it's stuck at the bottom, and then you guys can come get it." He's like, "You got it stuck?" And he's like, "Let me try." And he went and got it stuck in the same spot. So he's like, "Okay, this is not good for your land. We'll keep looking." But
I'll be darned.
I saw a video that you waited a while to let the oil run out of the cylinders.
Yes. Being on the tractor forums, that's one thing that I had seen, and I waited a full week. Some guys just say 24 hours. Neil Messick's on YouTube has a video on what to do after you roll your tractor. And so he'll be able to talk you through, you know, what you need to look out for and everything. But did you try and start it afterwards?
Oh no, I was a mechanic for 20 years, so I understood that the smoke coming out of it was it ingested some oil. I know that with rollovers through working at insurance companies that you have to check and see where the oil got stuck before you do anything. So I tried to rotate it by hand just at the crank, and I was like, man, it's hydro locked.
Okay. So
I uprighted it. My neighbor across the street has a little bit bigger of a tractor, so he stood it back up for me.
yeah.
And then I pulled it around front, which is a nightmare because these things don't steer without hydraulic fluid pretty much.
Right.
I just pulled the glow plugs and rotated it by hand, and it was like milking a cow. Every time I rotated the motor, it pumped out, half a quart. My engine's it's almost 4 quarts full. I think it's like 3.35 or something like that. There was probably a quart and a half in all 3 of the cylinders, so it's about down halfway from
wow.
Oil. Yeah, there was a lot of oil in there.
And how long was it over on its side?
Maybe 30 minutes.
Oh, so I mean that I would consider that a short amount of time.
Yeah,
that's a lot of fluid that got over that quick. So
well, the crankcase ventilation systems in most of these tractors too work really well to evacuate emissions and get them out of the motor. The unburned fuel or burned oil or whatever. But when they're on their side and the only thing that PCV has access to is oil, it pumps the oil through the motor. So when I saw it blowing smoke, I was thinking it was running away, like it was going to start off its engine oil. So that's why I buggied to try to. I was hoping I could either shut the key off and it would shut down, but if it's running away, you have to choke the air. Luckily, they have a nice little air intake tube you can squeeze shut if you really need to. It almost looks like a coolant hose once you get your hood open.
Oh.
I was hoping I was going to save it because I was like, well, if this thing's like 20 grand, I don't want to melt it to the ground in my field.
Oh, golly. Now, was there anyone else out there? If you were stuck under it, would you have had help?
Oh, man. I'm glad my wife isn't here for this conversation. My wife's a medical professional in town, and she's in town, and I stay home with the kids on days like this. And I just put the baby down for a nap. And I was like, all right, I'm going to go do some choring while the baby's sleeping because I can't do anything with him around. He's only 2. So my 2 oldest kids were upstairs playing video games. My daughter's in the living room watching TV, and my baby's asleep. So when it happened, I was able to get the tractor back all the way to the front yard before they even knew what was going on. I took a second for myself and relaxed and got a drink of water, and then I went and got the baby, and then that's when I was like, oh, you know what? I bet you I have that on the security footage because the backfield's on motion only. Otherwise, it just gets possums and bears all the time. So I went and looked to see if it was there, and I was like, oh, yeah, it's there. So I sent the video to my neighbor, and he's like, that's hilarious. He's like, you should post that on the internet so people know how fast those things come over because he had his Craftsman rollover on him last year. He's got a big and a small Craftsman, and the Craftsman rolled over and crushed him last year. Luckily, he just had like a bruised eye socket and some damaged ribs, but nothing crazy. I pushed off of the black handle that's over the wheel well when I jumped off, and as soon as that thing was coming over, I felt something push my arm. So I bet that handle came towards where I was pushing. So, but yeah, my wife was pretty pissed that I was doing stuff like that while she wasn't around. So you guys, what would you have done if Dad gets stuck? And my son was, if you can't find Dad and he was out on the tractor, what do you do? And he's like, call 911. No, go get the neighbor first and let him decide. But
well, it's you know what? That's something to think about for everyone out there.
Oh yeah, and that's why I wanted to post it because I wanted to say, hey, I've been on this tractor for 4 years. Nothing about this situation felt sketchy until the brakes weren't there, and then your heart drops and other things into your underwear, and then you got to figure something out quick. And everybody says, "Oh, here's what I would have done." Well, you don't know what you would have done. That's why I'm putting this up, because now you can have it in the back of your head that, man, this thing could go rogue at any time. And if you're not prepared, you're going to get hurt.
And it doesn't happen when you're anticipating it.
No,
and that's what
I'm boulder too. And I was like, man, this thing is really squatting. This is probably too much weight for this bucket. I'm just going to take it real slow. And nothing happened. And I moved this thing that probably doesn't even weigh 100 pounds. And that's when it dumped, you know?
Oh man, and like with the boulder, you were probably being really careful and very aware.
Yep. Low gear, low RPMs, bucket low. Like a couple people were like, "You need to let your wife do the tractor because you don't know what you're doing." I'm like, "And I've been on this thing forever. That's the whole point of this. Is I know when this thing is unstable. I've done dumb things with it. I've moved cars with it. I pulled a motor out of my dad's 50 Chevy with it. I know when I'm testing its limits. And at this point, I didn't think I was doing anything wrong. And that's when it went full potato on me. So that's kind of why I wanted people to see it. When you asked me, I was like, yeah, you know what? Anything I can do to get people's awareness up on this situation, I'm going to do it, because you never know when it's going over.
Yep, and I appreciate you taking the time. I know we're probably getting close to our time. I think the moral of the story is that it can happen at any moment, and you just gotta, take all the precautions that you can, but still, it can happen.
It goes back to the old debate too. It's the buckle, no buckle. You know, do you wear a buckle and take it to the ground like you did, or do you stay unbuckled and hope you can clearance yourself? You know, it's
Right.
still. I mean, I've done a lot of off-roading in Colorado, where we were living before, and we would crack the door open and unbuckle, because if it went off a cliff, you would rather be away from the truck and sliding on gravel and getting hurt than be with the truck the whole way down.
And rolling down.
Yeah, in this situation, I mean, I just never put the seatbelt on because it beats the crap out of me while I'm mowing, because I'm constantly bouncing. So I was like, I honestly don't even think I've unrolled the thing since I've had the house, because I figure it's such a slow tractor, no real issue can happen. But after this, I don't know, man. I might start buckling up.
Now, I mean, the way it rolled, do you feel like it actually kind of threw you out, and that's why you were running so fast too?
When I noticed it was coming over is when I bailed. I think if I usually hold one hand on one of the handrails and one hand on the steering wheel, just so I can center myself, because I'm a little big on the tractor. I'm 6'4" myself, so just to settle myself. But I think if I would have rode it out, I might have got hurt more, because the seat was against the ground. You can almost see in that picture, the seat was almost against the ground. So I mean,
yeah.
The bucket was, and the way that plant stand was, it almost flipped it to where it wanted to be on the face. So I think the bucket being down and the roll bar being down really helped.
Yeah, definitely. And I can tell you, you would have had a hard time unbuckling yourself afterwards, just because all your weight would be on the belt. So you definitely, if you do start wearing your seatbelt, I carry a little knife on my seat so I could cut my belt if I couldn't undo it.
Yeah, we used to off-road race in Colorado. We used to have they sell them. They almost look like little business cards that have an angled knife built into them. And
Okay.
They were double-side taped to the ceiling of the buggies or the trucks. So that way, when they went over, if a response crew hadn't got to you yet, you could cut your belts off so that you could get out, because cam locks that the 5-point harness is used. I mean, I'm 250 pounds, so once you bang against them a couple times, they get all bent up. And who's to know what state of the roll cage is in, or if you can even, there might be so much stress on the belt you can't unlock it, so you have to cut the belts off. If something's on fire, that could also create an issue too. I don't know if this would have went on fire. When yours was running and it tipped, did it run itself out, or did it?
It turned off, I think, when my safety switch on my seat, I think, basically shut it off.
Oh, you had the mower going.
No, I think just Well, that's a good question because I must have had my foot on the pedal still, potentially, and it cut on off.
Yeah, because mine, I mean, I guess that makes sense to why mine didn't shut off, because I wasn't on the brake or I wasn't on the gas when this happened, and I was on the brake. So it might have thought I was stationary when because, like I said, I know that there's a diff lock pedal, to lock the diff if you're really in some squirrely stuff. That didn't even come into my mind to hit that. Like, once I started rolling, it was a fire drill. It was get out as fast as you can.
Yeah.
I thought about going to the right-hand side, and then I saw the deck coming up, and I was like, oh, this way.
Oh, man. That's a story. Woo. Glad that you're safe.
I got it on video, and I was, I'm a photographer now by trade, so I'm glad I had the peace of mind to take pictures and check for video, because honestly, I mean, I've crashed dirt bikes and off-road trucks, and I don't feel the pain if I got the video of it happening. Whatever. I remember this is where I got knocked out. Yeah, I remember now. This is where my head hit the roll kit. This is where I cut the jump short and ended up wadding it up. So,
man.
Hopefully the Kubota site has a good laugh out of it, and the people with their negative energy, they'll keep being negative whether they're on the site or not. So that's just who they are.
Exactly. And I guarantee you've helped a lot more people than there are haters out there.
Yeah, most of the responses have been pretty positive. I mean, there's a couple guys that I'm on a couple Sony sites and for photography, and those guys are brutal too. If you didn't get something perfectly in focus or the colors right, they're gonna let you know specifically. I mean, they won't call you an idiot like the guys at Kubota say, but I got a couple. You're an idiot. You're so stupid. This is perfectly why you shouldn't be on a tractor. And I was like, man, I've operated $1 million machines before and never had any issues. And this is that's why I said, from champ to chump and just one bump. It doesn't take much, man, to put you in a hole, So
that's it. If you would have had it in 4-wheel drive, it probably wouldn't have happened.
And you know what? That's the biggest thing, is because I said my generator sits. You can see where the tire tracks go. That's where my generator sits every winter, because we live in Western Pennsylvania. So there's one line going to 30 houses, and that's 100 acres. So when that one line, somebody hits it with a car or something, it's out. So we have to have generators in the area, because I got small kids and you need power. So I've moved that generator in for the last 4 years, 2-3 times a season. The first year I moved it in and out every time there was a power outage. In the snow, in that same situation, I've never had an issue. But because I was in 2-wheel drive that one time, it took the control away from me. So I'll be welding that bar into 4x4 permanently.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's been 30 minutes. I appreciate you taking the time. Hey, just can't thank you enough for sharing the story, and it'll definitely help other people out there.
Bars up, guys.
All right. Thank you. Nice talking to you.
Take it easy.
Okay. Bye-bye. All right, guys. So what'd you guys think? I mean, that was interesting. I'm going to play this one more time here just so that you guys can see it. I didn't want to go into a lot of what ifs. I think bottom line, having it in 4-wheel drive would have made a difference. Without a doubt, having ballast on the back would have made a difference as well. But since he normally mows with it, takes the loader off, it doesn't sound like he's going to want to have ballast on it all the time. And he doesn't want to compact his lawn, so might not want fluid in your tires. So sounds like he mainly uses it to mow and the occasional moving stuff around. So it kind of makes sense. The main thing would be getting the 4-wheel drive. And as he said, he normally has it in 4-wheel drive. Close call. All right. So I think that's about it. You guys, I appreciate you watching, and O&D out.